Linda Mahoney, 131 North Golfview Road. For the sake of keeping the meeting moving, may I make my comments and have them apply to each of the cases under F1 through 5, so that I don't have to come up and say the same thing?
Okay, sure.
Yes. Okay. My objections to HRPV 15-001-00217, 216, 215, 214, and 231, as well as the additional associated cases, were stated and made a part of the official record at the HRPV meeting of February 17, 2016. As this is a continuation of that meeting, my objections remain. To those objections, I would like to add the following. Plans in the discussion have included the use of the roof of the historic Gulfstream Hotel by guests and or the public. The Gulfstream Hotel is a legal, non-conforming building at its current height. Under section 23.5-3, nonconformities, paragraph D, nonconforming buildings and structures. A nonconforming building may continue to exist in a non-conforming state so long as it otherwise conforms to law subject to the following provisions. In part, no such building shall be enlarged or altered in any way so as to increase its nonconformity. The use of the roof increases the height of the building, which then increases the nonconformity. I object to that, in addition to my other objections. As a little matter of history, because you were asking about the pool, the 3 condo buildings south of the Gulfstream Hotel comprise the Gulfstream Condominium Association, the Towers, the Hampshire, and the Statler. And the pool in front of the Statler, the glass house in front of the Hampshire, and the putting green that used to be in front of the Towers were originally owned by or owned with the condominiums, owned by the hotel or in conjunction with the condominiums. The pool on the south side of the Gulfstream Hotel was put in the mid-80s. So that's just a little bit of history on the pool for the hotel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question for Linda. Linda, you were saying in your comment that you felt that the use of the roof, but the pool is on the annex. It's a second-story pool.
The use of the roof has nothing to do with the pool. I'm just talking about the pool because it was mentioned about whether it had ever been on the ground, or some pools are on the ground.
So you're objecting then specifically to the use of the roof on the historic Gulfstream?
Yes.
And the section.
Please comment to clarify the uses on the roof.
Yes.
For the record, I'll be very brief. First of all, I'd like to distinguish between use and structure. The rooftop uses have been noted in articles that date back for decades. In fact, if you've ever been up on the roof, there's flooring on the roof because the property and the roof had been used for parties and functions, both evening, during the day, and in the morning. So the use itself was previously approved, it was previously used, and it's conforming. Furthermore, the uses that were there are uses that are permitted uses in hotels. So we don't have a non-conforming use issue. As to the non-conforming structure, the height of the structure goes to the very top of the rooftop element, which is far above the roof. But any references to any of the elements that are shown on the graphics, they are portable. There were umbrellas previously used up there, and there were chairs and furnishings, and this space was used, and it will be used as it has been designed to be used. But what we're showing on the graphics are illustrative. They are portable. They can be installed, and they can be removed. They are not part of the structure. So we do not affect anything on the roof other than fixing it to restore it to what it had previously been. So I just wanted to clarify the record.
Thank you.
And thank you for this continuation and your continual effort to do this project here. To quote the city website, which is our connection to the world, the city has a rich history and is protective of its historic architectural fabric. Over 1,000 historic buildings contribute to the human scale and charm of the downtown and residential areas. I'm going to refer to all of these zoning requests: HRPV 15-001-00217, 001-00216, 001, 00215, and 001, 00214. This zoning allows for building heights in excess of 45 feet or 4 stories, voted in on March of 2013 through a charter amendment. This charter amendment protected our downtown corridor. This board continues to disregard this vote and move to supplant your own vision, and we should think about this in promoting a canyon effect and continuing the poor decisions of the past with those other tall buildings down there. Putting our future as the sea level rises, our resources and infrastructure to support these new buildings is depleted, and into this proposal with a less than transparent or auspicious beginning is foolhardy. This rezoning ordinance is representative of a pattern of disregarding the residents of the city, its historic architectural fabric, its human scale, and its charm. The charter amendment protects these valuable assets. The zoning change does not. There is very little about the sustainability of this building that's been brought up, how it's being built, and I noticed that they said that it was going to get an Energy Star approval. As far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong, I'd like to be corrected if I am, Energy Star has to do with the appliances, pretty much, that are in the building. If you use a refrigerator that has so many, uses so much wattage that you could buy one that uses less. That doesn't really have anything to do with the sustainability of the building or the green nature of the building, which we're supposed to be adhering to with the South Florida climate change task forces that have been started and that need to be adhered to in anything that's so close to the water. It seems like there's very little sustainability with this project, and it's very short on sustainability and very short on very long on profit in the short term. I'm concerned about what's going to happen in the future, and the fact that we haven't considered global warming, sea level rise, and those considerations have not been brought up at all with this meeting or with any of these proposals so far. So I hope to hear something about it in the future.
So we would like to recommend approval for this. In reference to the Energy Star, as many of you may be aware, under our Land Development Code, the Sustainable Bonus Program was established to require additional contributions or expenditures in a project if it were a building over 2 stories. Half of that contribution is met through the restoration of a contributing property or a landmark property in Lake Worth. The other half is a commensurate dollar amount. The applicant has provided documentation of how the National Energy Star Certification Program works. We have evaluated that and looked at their documentation and do feel that it is an achievable aspect of the building. We are asking them to post a performance bond commensurate to be equal to the amount of that differential. That's been in, I think it was approved actually as part of your site plan. To sort of edify the public, there are a system of solar panels that are being proposed on the roof that will not extend beyond the balustrade element or the parapet element, and I think this is there it goes. They will not be seen above this height here. They will serve to make the building much more energy compliant. The Florida Building Code already has in it a very stringent energy compliance factor, which makes it difficult to achieve further energy savings. And so for their committing that, we do give them some credit for having done that. And there are some interior elements and some green roof elements they've also incorporated as part of water retention and management of the structure. Also, the city's freeboard height when it comes to building elevation is 1 foot higher than what's required by FEMA, which was adopted a while ago, and we still maintain that. We are in the process of recertifying the city under the CRS program, Community Rating System, and this building will, by default, be built 1 foot higher in elevation, ground floor, than what is required by the straight FEMA. So we have, for quite a while, been considerate of and cognizant of the fact that Lake Worth does have some water and sea level rise issues that we need to address. I do think that with the improvements that they're proposing in drainage, the site itself will actually be in far better shape than it is now, even though it's got a building being built on it, because that site does not drain very well at present, and the alley is not the best. And it's going to be improved as part of the site plan approval.
Where do you want to be swimming?
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
And your name?
Richard Stowe, 414 North Federal Highway. I'm extremely disappointed with this proposal that the applicant, staff, and historic board is so diligently been working on. I have concerns in terms of height, bulk, and scale. The urban canyon effect. The fact that the massing is unbalanced on the property. I think of in a previous presentation, the architect brought up the issue of other historic buildings and specifically mentioned the Santa Barbara County Courthouse. And I thought, what if they added a standalone parking garage on the Santa Barbara County Courthouse grounds? What would that do to that hallowed American public property? I just think a standalone parking garage is unacceptable. Adding a third story to the parking garage is just rubbing salt in a wound. I can't believe, I assume many of you, if you don't, should refer to the high cost of free parking by Donald Shoup and the concepts that he's so carefully analyzed over the decades, and consider that when you think about adding parking spaces to our downtown. The setback on Lake is awkward. I really think the city of Lake Worth can do better. From my vantage point, I would go back to like ground zero. I mean, this is like think out of the box. I'd like to see the parking spread across the entire lot, as opposed to massing it in one space. You have and build on top of that parking. I'd like to see. You can see here how awkward this looks, even with a 3-story garage. You've got, this one little building off on the side, and then this 60-something feet, building off to the left. It doesn't look good. Bring it up, create some balance, bring down the height a bit, and spread out, the project so it has, a nice shape to it. I just don't think, I think there needs to be more, the previous meetings, there was like heights versus no growth, like if we don't approve this project, it's the end of the world, versus like, the no growth, the heights issue. I think our challenge right now is to bring like a world-class design into Lake Worth, and this fails that test miserably. So, and just finally the view shed. I think by bringing the height down and spreading it across the property, you will have a much better view shed of the historic Gulfstream building. I think in terms of the parking garage being, from a traffic circulation standpoint, it's disadvantageous to push all that parking to the south side of the lot. I think you should have ingress. By spreading it across, you can utilize Lake Avenue to ingress into the parking areas. I do like the idea of wraparound retail or resident, whether it's residential, or hotel rooms or whatever. I do like that, hiding, camouflaging the fact that there is parking behind it. But I think this project has a lot more work to go through, and I hope the Historic Preservation Board will not approve this application tonight. So that's my guess.
Very good, thank you.
To help try to clarify the record a little bit, having been involved in some somewhat significant historic preservation projects outside of Florida, and not only just here. But one of the things that differentiates this project from other tax credit projects that we've intentionally worked, and I think the architect also will appreciate this, they've intentionally tried to design this as a collection of buildings that are not gigantic footprints that we don't see in Lake Worth. And the new hotel annex reads as a building of its own. It is not, would not really can be considered an addition to the hotel. So the tax credit process does have really stringent requirements when you're doing an addition to an historic hotel. But as this has been designed and set up, it reads as a building of its own time, hotel annex. This happens to be connected by a bridge and a deck to the Gulfstream. And I think that will go very far in having that tax application be very well received versus if that thing were tacked on physically and completely on the Gulfstream.
Are there any adjustments that can be made if that fails? I mean, on our part or just on the applicant's part?
I'm not following.
If the tax credit fails,
well, the tax
can
credit
we help beyond that?
Well, your approval tonight and the conditions that you placed as a CLG and an approved board and having appropriate staff will be submitted once the National Park, actually probably the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, contacts us about how this hearing went. That will go a long way in supporting the tax credit application. But keep in mind the tax credit application is also reviewed for interior elements as well as exterior, and we don't have any purview on the inside. We can definitely, they have done a great deal to try to preserve the integrity of the original public spaces to a great degree. Much of the original integrity and character of the original rooms is gone, though you have not been given much of a tour of the interior. We've all been in it once or twice, and it's rather sad what has been allowed to happen there over time. And there isn't a great deal of physical space characteristics left except for the hallways, and they are leaving the hallways. The rooms are in pretty bad shape, and much of the building above second floor is in very bad shape. So I think they have a very strong income tax credit application.
One more.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North Main Street. Yes, I stood up and raised my hand and said yes. I think this is a fabulous project. I appreciate all the hard work everyone, staff, Historic Preservation Board, and the applicant has put into this. We need to remember one, the words null and void when we talk about height amendment. We need to remember that this is a private parking garage, not a public parking garage. It's part of a private project that's seeking approval. It is not for me to say how companies should run their operations. As I've heard many times from you all, it's not up to you to discuss their operations. But I just wanted to, I've heard the canyon effect. On the other side of the addition is the Gold Coast Towers, which I believe is as tall as the addition, if not taller. So it's really in between two tall buildings. And we have a very fabulous building in the Gulfstream itself. And that's what we should be showcasing. And I commend you all for all the hard work that you have done. Thank you.